Early retirement on $500,000. Now, when I say early retirement, I mean retirement anywhere between the ages of 54 and 59. And 500,000 can mean 500,000 in a retirement account, in a brokerage account, or some combination of retirement and brokerage accounts. Over the last 2 to 3 years, there's been a group of content creators on social media who are people in their late 50s who retired early with $500,000. And I actually really like a lot of these content creators. They're very entertaining. They have some great budgeting tips, and they're actually in the trenches of retirement. They're often very transparent with their finances and their living situation. And so if you've come across some of these content creators, they're making good content, and some of their points are very accurate. But what do I, as a financial advisor in wealth management, think of early retirement on $500,000? It's not going to happen. Why? Stay with me. So we all have the early retirement dream. Everyone wants to retire as early as possible to escape the workforce and to be able to live the life of their dreams. The reality is retirement before the age of 55 or even 60 is pretty difficult to pull off, and pulling it off with $500,000 is dang near impossible. As you watch these content creators explain their lives and talks about their finances, there's a few considerations that you need to take into account. And if this video does well, I actually do a video where we will look at the numbers and I will prove to you that retirement on $500,000 just doesn't work. But one thing I will say about many of these content creators is they are very transparent about their numbers, and they're telling you how they're making it. And there's some things that I noticed about what they're doing that changes their situation dramatically. So first consideration is that you need to take into account is many of these content creators are married or in a relationship. And that means they have a partner. And oftentimes that partner is working to some extent. That changes a lot because a two-income household has different finances than a single individual person with $500,000. So if someone is married or in a long-term relationship and is sharing finances with another individual, it's not quite accurate to say that they are retiring with $500,000 and that's it. They have other income coming in from other sources because they have a spouse or a partner that is still working in the relationship. So take that into consideration. Is this person married or in a long-term relationship where they have another individual contributing to household expenses? The second thing, many of these people who are content creators on social media and talking about retirement, they're still working. They're still working, but just in a different capacity. They are YouTube content creators. If their channel is monetized, and in many cases these content creator channels are monetized, they are drawing an income from their work on YouTube. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not faulting them in any way from drawing income from YouTube. I think it's a very good thing. But once again, they're not just living on the $500,000 they have a brokerage account or a retirement account. They are also drawing income from their social media efforts on YouTube, and they need to be fully transparent about that. Now, some content creators are very transparent about that. Some content creators, I think, can be more transparent about that, but they basically have other supplemental sources of income other than their $500,000 portfolio in investments or retirement accounts. The third thing that I take into consideration where I see these content creators is exactly where are these people living? Are they living in Nebraska? Are they living in New York or Hawaii or California? Are they in a high cost of living area? Did they have to make the change of a major move in order to live out their retirement dreams? I think it's really interesting and really important to know where these people are living, when these people move to where they are living, and what is the cost of living in the area where they are compared to general cost of living. Some of these content creators are abroad in nations with completely different financials than the US. Of course, if you live in Panama, you can live on a fraction of the money that you would need to live in San Francisco. So one thing I think you should really take into consideration when watching these $500,000 retirement content creators is where are they living exactly and how did they get there? Next, with people living on $500,000 in retirement, let's say they retire at 55, I don't think any of these people have minor children. When you have minor children at 55, that changes your retirement numbers because you are often providing support to your children beyond your age of 55, often into their early 20s. Oftentimes, many of these content creators don't seem to have minor children still dependent on them. So if you have minor children, or you have children who have just crossed the threshold of adulthood and will still need assistance from their family from time to time, you may want to look at the content from the social media creator who's living on $500,000 in a brokerage account and a traditional IRA just a little bit differently. How is this affecting their Social Security? This is a huge one for me. So Social Security looks at your top 35 years of earnings. And if you started at age 18 and went straight through, maybe at age 55, you have a full 35 years of earnings. But the reality of many people's careers, including my own, is that there are periods where we are working and there's periods where we are not working. There may be due to health issues, family issues. There may be a year of unemployment here or there. You may take time off to take care of a relative. It's rare that you get a situation where a person works from age 18 straight through. So if this person reaches reaches the age of 55, retires early, and doesn't have a full 35 years of earnings under Social Security, for each year they're not working or drawing income, they get a big fat zero, which dramatically impacts the amount of Social Security they can collect come Social Security age. It seems like many of these content creators do indeed know that. Some, I wonder if they realize how dramatically having years of zero on their earnings report will impact their Social Security. But one thing I always ask myself when I see these content creators, have they factored in a diminished Social Security if they left the workforce without 35 years of earnings? Next, one thing I always wonder, how are these people getting their health coverage? Now, if they have a spouse or a significant other that is working and gets health coverage through their job, it's a different equation. But if a person is single or a person is not married, health coverage is very, very expensive. You have to go on the Obamacare exchange, you have to do COBRA. Often these people are not 65, so they're ineligible for Medicare. One question I think that needs to be asked and needs to be considered, how are you going to get your health coverage? How are you going to get your vision? How are you going to get your dental until you are age 65 and are eligible potentially for Medicare? Next thing, how do these people handle sudden emergencies that come up in life? Let's say one year you have a really bad year, your car is totaled by a hit and run driver, and you need a new roof. Between those two things, that's $60,000, $70,000 right there. And it's not something that necessarily you could easily defer over time. It may be something that you have to put out right away. How do you plan for that with $500,000 in savings? I'm not really sure how these individuals handle these really calamitous emergencies that sometimes happen during down financial years in our life, but they're going to happen in retirement. You're going to have these years where you're going to have huge outlays of money because of the unexpected, and you're going to need to recover from that. It's a different equation when you're handling it and you're 75 and have $500,000 in your retirement savings, because your life expectancy is much shorter, versus when you're 55 and have $500,000 in your retirement savings because you have a much longer life expectancy. So handling unexpected emergencies that require large sums of cash. I'm always curious, what field were they in before retirement? Sometimes people were in fields that simply were ageist and they were likely kind of alley-ooped out the door. But the reason why I ask that question is if there is ever a necessity for this person to go back to their regular job, how easy would it be for them to go back to their regular job? For example, if someone is a teacher, as long as they keep their licensing and credentialing active, they likely can go back to being a teacher. But if you're a software engineer and you leave the field at age 55, you're likely not going back. Sometimes these content creators do talk about their jobs, sometimes they don't. But it's important consideration to make in listening to the advice that the content creators provide to the audience. What are they doing in retirement? What I get from many of these content creators is they're really not retired. They are working in different capacities, and they are following more of their own vision and their own dreams versus working a traditional 9 to 5 job. I think they call it retirement because our society really hasn't created the word or the concept yet to explain what these people are doing. Personally, I think what these people are doing are very, very exciting. It's wonderful when you get to create a career where you get to call all your own shots. But I don't think they really are retired. I think they have simply shifted gears and moved into another stage and phase of their career where they simply have more latitude to create the career of their dreams. Number 10, what does their housing situation look like? Is their housing paid off? Are they renting? Are they sharing housing? Are they in a very low cost of living area where housing isn't that much? Because one of the biggest expenses that retirees often have in retirement is housing, and it's very important to understand the relationship between housing and your budget and what means you have to pay for that housing. So, I'll say it again because this is very, very important. What I've gotten from watching these content creators is that these people are genuinely not retired. These people are still working in some capacity, whether it's as a YouTube content creator or working part-time or doing consulting work, simply working on their own terms and bringing in income. And basically, they're using their investment accounts and their retirement accounts often as a backstop. If you are 55, you cannot draw from a retirement account without penalty until you are age 59. And oftentimes people who are in this situation have planned around that, so they may have other resources. Some of them have pensions, which is pretty extraordinary because a lot of the younger generation, Gen X and beyond, don't have access to pensions. Some people have other sources of income that they are drawing on. So the 500,000 retire community, it's a great community here on YouTube. Like I said, I really enjoy their content, but I think there's a lot of caveats in what they are doing, and it's on its first outward blush, it's not quite accurate. These people are not retired, they're doing something else. They've shifted gears in their lives, and they're able to call the shots in their own work, which is very exciting, but they're not retired people. So there you have it. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. And if you found this information useful, please like, share, and subscribe.